There is a very real Seattle Seahawks and quarterback Russell Wilson. Now, I don't know how much of it is coming from the Seahawks, but it's clearly something that's coming from Russell Wilson, who, as the pot is boiling, was on Dan Patrick's show yesterday, not mincing words, not tiptoeing around the issues, not sending passive-aggressive messages that then would be denied if those of us in the media happen to notice those messages and talk about them, like your favorite quarterback tends to do.
That's wrong.
Russell,
nope. Cheap
it's
shot.
not wrong.
It is.
It's not a cheap shot.
Nothing
It's
was,
the
he
God's
wasn't
honest
sure.
truth.
Nothing's for sure for the next year. It's all he pointed out. You decide to take everything from there. That was you, not Aaron Rodgers.
He has a proven history of making passive-aggressive comments aimed at sending messages to the organization, and then when those of us try to flesh out what he's saying, he gets pissed off.
Well, where did
How
he get
dare
pissed
we?
off this time? Where did he go?
Okay.
I still haven't heard a contract thing, any of that. So, sorry.
No,
go on.
No.
Yeah.
No, he just drops this turd in the punch bowl right after the NFC Championship game that a lot of futures here are undecided, myself included, and then acts like he didn't say anything. And even then, with the stuff he said on Pat McAfee's show, if you parse through it, and I didn't do it because, frankly, I can only handle so much of GAnon, okay? But some of the Packers beat writers tried to parse through the things he said to say, well, he's still suggesting there's something going on here. And we'll get to your friend, your unrequited friend, later. For now, this is about Russell Wilson, who we didn't have on the show last week, and I thought maybe he's keeping a low profile because most Super Bowl weeks we have him, and last year we got him to say some revealing stuff about his, I don't want to say dissatisfaction with the offense, but the areas in which he would like to see it change. That became, in some respects, the guts of let Russ cook. Well, they let him cook, and the meal kind of eventually blew up on everyone, in part because the offense didn't change. Anyway, this is an outgrowth of what we've been talking about, the Tom Brady effect. 20 years of do your bleeping job has become, hey, quarterback, your job is to bring in anyone that you think is going to help us win, and we're not going to tell you no. Now, there's a middle ground there somewhere, and I think Russell Wilson would like to find some of it, and let's start with that. Appearing yesterday with Dan Patrick, Russell Wilson on his desire to maybe have some say in who he's playing with on both sides of the ball. Here he is.
How much input should the quarterback have in organizational moves? Veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I think it depends on who it is. I think.
Well, how about you? How much do you have any say in what Seattle does offensively with free agents or draft picks?
I think that it's I think that ultimately, for me personally, I think that I want to be able to be involved because at the end of the day, it's your legacy, it's your team's legacy, it's the guys you get to go into the huddle with.
That's a long-winded way of not answering my question. Are you involved in personnel decisions? Have you been involved in personnel decisions?
Not as much. I don't. I think that.
Do you want to be involved, Russ?
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps to be involved more. But I think that dialogue should happen more often.
Dan would have been a hell of a lawyer. Speaking of guys who aren't cats,
right?
Because he got to the truth. And can we handle the truth? Can the Seahawks handle the truth? I'm not sure they can. And I'm not sure Seahawks fans can, because this thing's been lingering for a few years. Just the idea that maybe at some point Russell Wilson is not going to be on the Seahawks, and the 12s get very upset. They immediately go to 20 when you start talking about the possibility of a future without Russell Wilson. But, hey, look, he's articulating something I've believed for a while now. If you are going to expect the quarterback to be the boss on the shop floor, the quasi-member of management, the one who inspires, leads, holds accountable, works hard, shows up early, stays late, sets the example, you can't freeze him out of the management meetings. You can't say when it's time to convene in the boss's office, sorry, Russ, you're just one of the employees. Get back to work. Keep doing the things we want you to do among the other workers. Keep sending our message. Remember, there was resentment of Russell Wilson early in his career because he was considered too much of a company man. He's been a company man through and through, and what's the company done for him? And I think he's at the point where he wants to have some say.
Well,
Clearly wants to have some say in who they bring on board.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I get it to a degree. I think you're, towing a very dangerous line when you start to get into these conversations.
Why?
Well,
Why?
Because, one, you're the quarterback and you are the player. The general is the head coach. There's other guys that are, there to evaluate players and put the team together. And I think that's
Why
dangerous.
did Tom Brady get to do it then?
Because he's won 6 Super Bowls before he did it, and he brought a guy, one, that is a first-ballot Hall of Famer who was just out of the league for one, so that was Antonio Brown. We know there's a history there. And then we got Leonard Fournette, who came because he was there. He didn't call him up. But this is a rare instance. We're talking about the GOAT. We're talking about Tom Brady, the greatest leader in the history of the NFL, who's earned, multiple pelts on the wall, the horses, whatever, medals, trophies, rings, whatever. And he's now just getting the opportunity to do that in a very rare situation with a cool GM and a cool head coach where they just asked him about 2 or 3 guys. That's to me where, hey, it's one thing to go, hey, Russell, we were thinking about this receiver or this receiver. Do you got a feel here? And, who do you like? And what do you like about this guy? That's one thing. But if you're going to start going, hey, Russell, what do you think about free agency? And what do you want us to do in the draft? Then I would go, well, then Russell, stop doing Dan Patrick interviews and start getting in there and watching film on free agents and draft picks. Because you can't start telling the team what to do.
But he would.
Okay.
Well, I don't think he wants to be assistant general manager. I just think he wants to have some say, some influence, some input in who they're going to acquire and who they're going to pursue. And remember what's coming. What's coming is chaos. If the salary cap drops to $180 million, guys are going to be cut. Free agents aren't going to get that big money right out of the gates. They're going to be wondering, where's my payday? Well, screw it. It's coming next year. I'll go sign with a team that I think will help me win a championship.
Yeah. Hey,
Russell Wilson. Hey, Aaron Rodgers. Hey, Tom Brady. Hey, Patrick Mahomes. Those are the 4 guys. We spent a lot of time on Monday among the PFT writers trying to drill down to who are the guys who are in a position to try to recruit, for lack of a better phrase, a super team.
Right.
And I think it's guys who are shortlist franchise quarterbacks who have already shown they can get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Those 4 guys.
Agreed.
Right? And maybe Deshaun Watson. Maybe wherever Deshaun Watson goes, if he goes anywhere, maybe him.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen's probably in that combo too.
I was just going to say that.
Just a guy where you go, I'd go with him, at least that, yeah.
Right. Now, Josh Allen's still wet behind the ears.
Right.
Or wet behind the ears, depending upon your preference. But with Russell Wilson, he's got 9 years in. He's keenly aware of his football mortality. He's getting toward the midpoint of his intended shelf life of age 45. He's been talking about playing until he's 45 for 4 or 5 years, frankly. So the question becomes, and I think it's got to be tormenting to him. He mentioned this yesterday to Dan Patrick. He hates watching other guys playing for a Super Bowl. Here he is, 6 years after, squaring off against Tom Brady. Brady's still doing it. And Russell hasn't been past the divisional round since 2014. Think about that. Brady's been to the conference championship or beyond every year since then, except 2019, his final year with the Patriots. Russell hasn't gotten past the divisional round once.
Well, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that could say that, though, Mike. I mean,
I know.
New England, not everybody had the benefit of having New England and having that. Brady was a part of something special, and, of course, he's special, too. I'm not trying to say that. And, it's hard to replicate that. And you're right. I do feel like these quarterbacks are kind of feeling the pressure now, and especially because he left, New England and went somewhere and got another Super Bowl. They're feeling the pressure. I feel like a lot like the NBA players a little bit. They're going, wait, why should I sit with one team and have them determine my legacy? And one other guy gets drafted by one team and, they really help his legacy. So I think these guys are looking at it and going, wait, why don't I make my own moves? And I'll make my own legacy and figure this out myself because I want to be talked in that way 30 years from now or whatever. And I do think, between Antonio Brown, the NBA players, and like you're saying, Tom Brady, that has definitely opened some quarterbacks' eyes for sure.
This gets back to our conversation from a few months ago when I was trying to articulate why it irritates me that Jamal Adams, the Seahawks safety, feels entitled to be on a winning team. This is the next level of that.
Yeah.
This is quarterbacks who feel entitled because they have achieved a high degree of success, both regular season and postseason, but not as much as they'd like. They want more. So they either want an opportunity to have influence in the effort to get more where they are, or worst case scenario, or possibly by what Tom Brady has just achieved, you go somewhere else. Again, these are traits that when they manifest themselves in a young child who must always win at everything he or she does, it's irritating, it's grating, it's off-putting. God, you don't have to win everything there, Jimmy. Come on, don't cry. It's just Parcheesi. We can play another game, right? It's Billy Bob Thornton picking up the checkers and slamming them against the wall, and Thurman says, want to play again. You can always play again, but you got to win everything, right? It's objectionable in a little kid. It's admirable in a grown man. Yeah. Always got to win, always got to win, always got to win, always got to win. Not winning enough. It's not good enough to get to the playoffs.
Sure.
We got to get. Now, for Jamal Adams, it was because he'd never smelled the playoffs. Russell Wilson, one and done's not good enough. I mean, that's where this is going. And the question is, which quarterbacks are going to try to flex their muscles in that regard? And as Russell started to answer that question, he said, well, it depends on who you are. And it does. You can't have all 32 teams with quarterbacks who think they're entitled to have a spoon in the personnel stew. But Brady clearly has earned it. The question is, who else has earned it?
Nobody really almost,
and it's not
to a
whether,
degree.
Right. But it's not whether we think they've earned it.
Yeah.
It's whether they think they've earned it.
No, I know. You know, I mean, listen, you said it. We know the ones that have earned it to a degree already. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has had no say up there. Absolutely no say on anything. He told us
Has he earned it?
Well,
has he earned it?
Yeah. I mean, he carries the team every year. He is the team. Their average is dishwater if they don't have Aaron Rodgers. And like he said it at one point during the year, right? Like, or maybe it was early in the year. Like, he vouched for one guy in his life, and he ended up in Buffalo, right? Remember that was the one receiver.
Yeah, they cut him, Jake Kummerow. They cut him.
That just tells you it's not a part of the normal fabric of the NFL. It's really not. This is very rare. You know,
normal may be changing.
Well, it might be. There's no doubt. That's where I was going with this. So this is going to take an adjustment period for teams, coaches, GMs. You know, and again, I don't even think Tom Brady was trying to do what he did. Tom Brady was just trying to get off and go to another team that had talent. And then it's, hey, I got talent. Oh, wait, you know, Rob Gronkowski's been calling me. It wasn't like he called Jason Light and them was like, hey, I want to have say in the team.
You don't really think that just happened spontaneously, do you?
Well, I mean, it might have been part of the talk, but my point is that's a special relationship. He didn't go in there going, I want to help you run the team, Jason Light and Bruce Arians. You know, they knew what they were getting. They knew he was going to coach and be the awesome leader he was. But the AB and Antonio Antonio Brown and Gronk thing, you know, they were kind of in place before that. So that happened. What I'm saying is organically, and I don't think he was looking to have say in the team. Now, did they come to Tom and go, hey, do you have a preference on this right tackle compared to this right tackle who we keep on the roster? Sure, maybe they do. Same with the receivers. But I think you go past that, you're dancing into dangerous territory.
Well,
yeah.
Couple of things. First, as it relates to what they did in the draft, of all teams in the NFL, the one with the 43-year-old quarterback would have been justified using a first-round pick on a quarterback. They did not.
No.
They used the first-round pick on a tackle who ended up being a very good contributor in Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
And that's got to be one of those things that an Aaron Rodgers would look at and say, boy, it would have been nice if we'd have used our first-round pick on somebody who would have helped me.
Right.
Maybe it would have been the difference between losing and winning against the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship.
Right.
As to Antonio Brown, the other two teams that were mentioned in relation to Brown were the Packers and the Seahawks.
Right.
Now, the Packers, that went nowhere. But Antonio Brown and the Seahawks had some juice. It had some legs, and it did that because who wanted him?
Yeah, Russell talked about it.
Wilson
Right.
wanted him. Now, the Ravens also were part of that too because Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown wanted him. So they got Des Bryant instead. Des Bryant was the peace offering when Antonio Brown wasn't signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Russell sees Antonio Brown going to Tampa Bay. That's the guy I wanted. maybe things would have been different for us if we'd have had Antonio Brown with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Maybe that would have made a difference. You know, maybe. I mean, you can't prove that it wouldn't have.
No.
And you see what Antonio Brown helped do for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's hard not to look at that. And as it relates to Gronk, that is a rare thing. Buck and DK Metcalf, not that he would drag him along with him if he could force a trade. I don't think he's going to go to John Schneider or Pete Carroll and say, well, I want DK Metcalf as part of my trade package. But there are relationships there that Russell Wilson has that he could try to tap into at some point down the road.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And guys will definitely want to go play for Russell Wilson. There's no doubt about that either. You know, but I would be one to sit here and argue, you know, hey, listen, if they got an Antonio Brown or anything like that, that's an offense there that they wouldn't even know how to use all of it. They're not.
Oh, part of the problem.
That's part of the problem. Exactly. That's why I wanted to kind of just go there. That's one of the issues with the team too, and why he's frustrated, right? Being hit too much. We talked about lack of creativity. You know, if anybody ever listens to my podcast, this is something that Pete Dimoletta can vouch for it. You know, no ever easy just, hey, get the ball, throw to this guy type of throws for Russell Wilson. It's always drop back and, hey, we got to wait for the guy to get downfield and make moves and anything like that. So from that aspect, there's a lot of things they could do to help support Russell Wilson. The problem is they won a Super Bowl and went to back-to-back Super Bowls and have a head coach who only knows really one style of football. He wants to play defense and run the football and just have a few passes off of that every now and then. That's what he wants to do. And ultimately, that's going to be frustrating for most quarterbacks in football right now in 2021.
That's what DK Metcalf said not that long ago. That's what they do. That's what Pete's always done. Run the ball, a little play action, not a whole lot of creativity, not a lot of offensive genius being brought to the table to diversify things, create mismatches, and allow the offense to gain more yards and score more points. And you see all the crazy stuff that these other teams do. I mean, that move that the Chiefs do now where they bring a receiver back in motion, spinning and whirling around the place. They do that almost every play now. It used to be something you'd see once or twice a game. I swear we saw it at least 10 times in Super Bowl 55. Not that it worked, not that it made a difference, but it does really give you that last second of, something's going on here that puts an extra little bit of mental stress on a defense. You never see that from the Seattle Seahawks.
They do none of that, Mike, none of it.
So, now, where does this go from here? Russell Wilson spoke favorably of Shane Waldron, the new offensive coordinator. Maybe he's willing to give it a year to see if it improves. Maybe this is just all part of his effort, more pointed than last year, to send messages to the organization about what he would like to have happen. Maybe this is their last chance. I don't know.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.